But then you can start looking around and you can see other landmarks over the rocks and over in the horizon. Like to the south, there's one of the Atmos stations. You have another Atmos station northeast, and then there's a few other POIs.
This map looks fucking sick.
Horizon.
This map looks cool.
Has these, like,
I gotta post a video of this shit.
That link up to.
I gotta post a video today.
Different directions, sort of like different directions you can head through the map, and these are really good points to defend when people are trying to come up. So we find that the terraformer is this like kind of king of the hill sort of situation, but you can't really defend it all from one spot. You kind of have to spread out a little bit. You can slide down these arms. This is really fun. You can slide down the interior of the arms as well. And then there's just like these interior spots with the legs. You can see, like, to Ed's point, we're trying to sell the story through artwork as well. So this, like, there's a lot of posters and little visual storytelling pieces across the map that you'll see. Yeah, and then this is just another way back up to the top. There's a vertical zip line here. Yeah, and then all three arms are kind of similar, and that's just kind of the loop. And then the other thing
what do you mean
that's kind of unique about this POI is there's an exterior zip rail,
like
that just sort of like wings you around the perimeter of it. So you can use that to kind of rotate around a little quicker and get from one leg to the other.
Fun fact, the terraformer is named Bertha because it's Project Rebirth was the name of the project. One of our
Project Reaper
to call this the flush because of the swirling water at the bottom. But yeah,
bit of a toilet bowl down there.
Yeah,
play really similarly because they're the same configurations, but other ones are in different configurations.
The bastard.
So we're coming up to the promenade. This is a really popular POI because it is sort of this really centralized choke point, and a lot of traffic flows through here. So there's a few ways up into the promenade. There's ramps on the sides, but you can also take these zip lines.
And this is where the people of Clio would find their basic supplies. It's like their general stores, their pharmacies. It's basically how they can survive up here.
Ew, that's zipline location.
Their everyday goods as they live upstairs.
That was a really weird zipline.
Yeah, you can see, continuing on theme, this one also has a unique zip rail about it, so you can kind of zip above the action.
And this is coming out tomorrow.
You can't get on them everywhere unless you're like, someone like Pathfinder, where he can grapple to the zip rail. And, other legends that can get the height, but there's certain starting points for the zip rail as well. Entrances and exits, a bunch of different ways in and out, so it's really good for this
I'm gonna
really
love
good
this
for
new map,
defensive legends. And there's some of these kind of narrow hallways around as well that prove for really good flanks just to push through these doors. Yeah, so we find ourselves a lot of the times in playtesting, the big question arises: do we go through the promenade or do we go around it? Because going through the promenade, if there's a team in there, it's like it's a pretty good choice you have to make. Like, can you squeeze through, or are you gonna actually have to fight someone? There's kind of
tropical kind of settings, but for this one, we were going to be on a barren moon, and we wanted to contrast that with the lush terraformed areas.
Never.
So Heaven and Hell was kind of the motifs I was pushing on the team, and especially the grassy lush side was inspired by English gardens and Monet paintings, like that soft pastel sky. And you'll see Bionomics later has these giant lily pads and really lush flowers. So that really wanted to contrast against what we knew was going to be more of a drabber, kind of gray, alien looking place. We knew that we couldn't have too much of that because you want people to relate to the areas that they're going to be playing in for a long period of time, right? If you're going to spend hours in this, you don't want them to get tired or fatigued by too much of a gray ambiance. So we do have some of that moon vibe, but then we contrasted that with more of an earthly terraform.
Matter of fact, Josh, is Pack open?
Here, the honeypot, as we call it. So like the best loot's gonna be here in the top middle. It's one of the sort of harder places to get to.
I was going to
say, if you look up, you can see there's actually a hole. So you can skydive
into the top here. Bro, I was gonna say let's just go real quick. I'm like,
you can skydive right through that hole.
Disgusting.
It's also kind of we internally we call it like a blender. So if you do land on the edge, those arms will kind of kick you down as well. So you can use that for like a speed drop if you want. And then it's kind of like it's a tricky spot to defend from the middle because you kind of always have to watch every direction, and these things are rotating. You don't really know where people can come from. So we find like people defend a lot of these arms and kind of hold up in here. These are pretty tricky spots to get people out of. The other thing that's really unique about this point of interest is the fan below here. So you'll see.
How fast do these things go compared to zip lines?
Will you tell me how? Do they feel faster?
Much faster, they seem.
It's hard to get my head around.
It feels like they accelerate.
They do.
Yeah, so they take your basically like inertia and momentum into account. So like if it's going up or down, if you're climbing up, it'll slow down. If you're going downhill, it'll speed up. But it eventually maxes out.
Here we're approaching the stasis net in what we call the failed forest. So the idea is that the terraformer, you'll see like a radius of what's been terraformed from that central building, and parts of the map didn't really take. And this is one of those areas that didn't quite take. So it's a bit of a creepier forest. And the stasis net is one of the first things they set up here to contain all the rock debris that you can see in the skybox, to prevent forest they can come here and chill out.
Yeah, so we can go to the bottom. So I call it a fairy pool down here. I don't know if Ed has a better word for it, but I call it the fairy pool. But yeah, it's just a really nice stained glass thing with god rays coming in and everything. It just looks gorgeous. But there's some really good loot down here. There's also a vertical zip line, 2 vertical zip lines that take you back up to the top. So when you're landing, this is a good place to land, just in this central area.
Oh, that's
here.
great
Then,
POI.
Yeah, you can take this balloon that takes you up through the stained glass, which is a super cool moment, and that'll just eject you over top of the whole thing. So you can kind of pick like where you want to move to, but you can't get too far.
Oh, this POI is just like so gorgeous. It's amazing.
To show the kind of fragility of the moon, it got split in half. These bridges have been set up to kind of almost hold the pieces together, but then that explains why we see the blue glow and the updraft happening there. So it's one of my favorite POIs. I think it's going to create some cool kind of side to side, middle building to middle building kind of sniping fest, if you're into that kind of thing.
Yeah, we find a lot of the times you'll have just one team on either side, and then they're trying to sort of figure out how to cross the gap.
That shit looks hard.
If they use abilities, or if they use
huge.
just run across
It's like
the
a
bridge, or if they use the rail to go around from the side. So
a
lot of interesting things and interesting ways you can kind of attack.
Was that like your intent when you were designing a lot of these POIs, that to potentially have them like have double usage?
And there's so many grappler. They have so many grappler hooks. Like there's just going to be people flying around the area.
About that. It's in the back of our mind consistently, but one of the things that we just make sure is like,
I meant zip lines. I'm
if we look at this as like, yes, maybe this could work for gun run or something like that, but we make sure that it works for the BR first and foremost. The way this town is laid out, this is just like a really classic kind of level design, technique, which is just like
Kyle Ken times a million.
2 bridges, and you create these. You just really create these really strong front lines as a result. You can see here actually there's a waterfall
blue a million, nigga.
down here that's being affected by
Imagine Goku gets smacked.
The updraft gravity and the energy.
Oh, so it does let you shoot back up. Oh, I was wondering. That's hard.
What the fuck is this? These are Titans. All right, hold on. I gotta see what happens when I do this. Yoink! Help me! Help me!
package has some sweet gear for it. Cracked. Reloading. Giving my shield a recharge. Damn, he's good looking. Threw my grenade out. Shot fired. Hit me. Broken enemy. Reloading. All right, enemy down. Recharging shield. I think this place needs a little more me. 45 seconds. Range not too far. I'm okay with that.
That entire squad has fallen.
All right, get ready. We only have one squad left. We're out here to save the day. Look this way. Shot. They're hitting me. You got bamboozled.
Almost there. We're close to the ring.
Recharging shield. You got bamboozled. Look at you. You got bamboozled. She got bamboozled.
I have fallen.
Cracked. Sending out my decoy. Recharging shields. She got bamboozled. Got bamboozled. My shield will recharge. She got bamboozled. She got bamboozled. Look at you. You got bamboozled. Ring's close. 45 seconds.